So here we have my 67 BAJA Beetle project. I got my new floor pans yesterday, so thanks Just Campers. What I'm going to try and do is to actually replace the floor pans on the body while the body's still attached. So I've split it just to make sure everything's removable. So there we go. So you can see the previous owner, there had been some covering up of some rust of the floor pan, so I'm going to try and get rid of all that and put the new pans in. So I've just jacked it up, taken all the screws and stuff out, just jacked her up just to split the seals, and then I'm going to just put it back down during the course so I know where to position the floor pans. So the first idea would be to get rid of, or cut this one out on the passenger side. So that one's going to go. So remove all of the old stuff that's in there. And I'll, as I say, then be able to fit the floor pan with the body still on the car. Hopefully, touch wood, it should all go fine. So I started cutting away. As you can see, what I might do is I might leave these on. Even though the other floor pans have them on, I might cut them off because they're pretty cool and they're welded to the framework. So I'm just trying to find a way in at the moment. So I'm just cutting away all the stuff that I know that I don't want or need. I'll just slice it off at the corner. And I'm going down here. It's pretty tight to the tunnel down in here. So not entirely sure what I'm going to do down here just yet. I might get the air chisel underneath that. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to have to rid myself of some of this plate or chop it up into little bits to get it out, because obviously that gap there, the tunnel finishes probably around about there-ish. So I need to remove the rest of this. Okay, so there's the first bit out. A nice bit of plate, I'll use that. And there we are. So here we are, about 10-15 minutes in. Another piece of plate's been removed. We can see there's an awful lot of rust that was covered up by this plate, and that's never really a good idea. This is the first time I've ever replaced pans in a Beetle. So it's very exciting for me, but I'm just going through it a little bit methodically. I do have the new floor plan, so I know what's got to kind of stay, and I know what kind of area that they've got to be in. So just take your time and just, yeah, as I say, don't take anything out that shouldn't be there. So I'm just working out around these seat rails at the moment, because I'll keep them because they may be better than the ones that are on my new floor pans. I'm not really sure yet because I haven't tried fitting them. But yes.
Oh, and this charger, thanks.
Bank where you post. It's another way of doing it for Australia. Australia Post. Bank of Post is a participating businesses. Financial institutions are available.
Oh, so about 25-30 minutes in, we finished taking out the rails. They're over there stacked up with all the other bits of plate. We're going to finish off just cutting around here now. You can see where the seat rails used to be, and it's, I say, fairly all pretty shitty and corroded up there. So I'm looking forward to cleaning all that up. So I'll just get the air hammer in a bit, the air chisel, sorry, and come around here. Once again, I'm going to leave that member there and just concentrate, leave that one in place, and then concentrate on removing this. If I can't take that off, then the new pans have got them on there, so I'll just re-weld them in. And that's it, just to keep cutting around. Bear in mind there's a lip there where the Napoleon's however goes. so I'm going to have to be careful there. But yeah, in a minute all this pan will be out. Just a quick update, not having a massive amount of success with the air chisel, whether or not it's a little bit rusty, but what I'm having to do is literally come up underneath the piece of steel and lift it off maybe that's what you're supposed to do, just don't know, and just take it off of the spot welds like that. So I'm just having to cut around here now, remove all those little bits while I clean the tunnel. Okay, so it's taken about another 10 minutes and I'm at this point. So look, it was easy to take off. You just have to be a little bit patient and make sure that you've got a good entry point for your chisel, otherwise you're going to start doing some damage which you have to fix prior to putting the new pans in. So bear in mind the pans need to sit pretty flat, I would imagine. So yeah, so there we go. I've still got to estimate whether or not I'm going to take that base out or not, but at the moment I'm leaving it in. That's a simple cutout if I need to do that. So what I've got left at the end here is just this piece. So I'm just looking at what's got to be done, where things start, where they finish, and we'll take it from there. I think it's pretty straightforward here. I think that bit just goes over there. I might just need to knock a couple of spot welds off, but there may not be much holding it at all, which would be great for me. Anyway, let you know how it goes. So my issue was here, or not really too much of an issue, is there's actually a weld that runs or ran across the top of the piece just here. So I just got the chisel down that side, lifted up and basically just broke it off by the weld. And there we are. So it's got a few more little issues which I might have to look at a bit closer. We'll see how it goes. But time now to clean it all up around the edges. So what I'm first doing of all, is just getting the grinder and just knocking all of these spot welds off. And then when it's at a reasonable point, what I'll do is I'll change and put a flap disc on and clean it up. But obviously we can't put anything down onto these when they're all raised. So my first, as I say, I'm just going along with the standard mild steel grinding bit and I'm just whipping off the tops of those spot welds, and I'll do that all the way around and down the other side. And once that's done, we'll take a look at it then. Hey, also I'm busy cleaning up down here. Pretty good at the moment, not too far off finishing. I've made a decision that I will take this out now, and the reason being is it's a bit rusty and buggered up at the end, and the new pans are pretty good and complete, so, and they also come with the jack point, so I'm gonna take that out. Just means that I have to weld up here and then across the top, I think, and then down the other side a little bit, and it also just needs to be fitted properly. So hopefully it all goes together pretty well, but I'm going to cut that piece out now. So I'm just going to grind back the weld, take the weld out. I've just cleaned the area just with my wire brush on my grinder, wherever it is, just down there. So not that fellow, but that fellow. So I'm just going to clean up that weld, and so I've cleaned it up, and I'm just going to remove the weld, and hopefully that should come away pretty good, but we'll see. Touch wood. So here we are again inside the car. So you see I've removed those the other side. I've just got this bit to take off now. It's how to get it off just yet. Underneath there, you can see it's a bit rusty, so it kind of sits on there somehow. I don't know if it's spot welded or whatever, but just have to have a good look. So here we are. So we're getting there. And we're just cleaning some stuff up here. This was quite tough to get off. So what I ended up doing was cutting about here, down and here, and removing that section. Okay, and then what I did with the air chisel is just go down, just get up where I could do underneath, and then I came in from the back and pushed it out this way, and then ground the welds back. So I find that quite a reasonable way to get it off. Yeah, and that's about it for now. Move on to the next bit, which will be removing this fellow off of here. I'll let you know how that goes in a minute. Okay, so that piece is now off. The support is left there, which is great. What a horrible little piece to take off. It looked like it was tack welded all the way across, the plug welded, sorry, all the way across the top there. Horrible job to get off. Once again, all I just soft, gentle, and just take my time on it and just get little pieces, and eventually it all worked out right. So looks like before I go much further, I'm going to have to, or before I fit the new pan in, I'm going to have to tidy all of this up in here. So I'm going to get, because I won't be able to reach it easily when the new pan's on, so I'm going to get the wire brush onto here and then tidy it up as best I can, and then spray it to protect it in the future. Then I'm going to drop, well, I've got to repair a couple of little bits just down here, so I'm just going to put a little bit of weld in some areas where there's a bit chewed out. So I'm just going to tidy that up through there, and then I shall put it back onto its screw holes and test fit the new pan. This wasn't me, by the way. Horrible people. That's got to be taken out. So finally, after a couple of hours, we're not too far off test fitting the new pan. So we're good to go. I've done a couple of little repairs, as I said. Taken that rear section out. That's all off. I just gave that a really good clean, and then a quick spray with some kill rust, which is great. And yeah, so just want that to just gonna give that another coat in a minute. So just wait for that to dry, flash off quickly and dry, and then I shall drop her down and test fit this new pan if that's possible. Actually, I might cut a bit more of that off while it's up in here. Get rid of that crap. Right. Anyway, how exciting is this? So anyway, look, it's taken a few hours for sure, cutting the old one out and preparing it. But then again, most of that was because it was just in a real shit state, and I needed to be really gentle with what I was doing to not damage anything. All the diehards will probably say, just rip it off, mate, she'll be right. But anyway, I took my time, and I think we've got a really good base to put this new pan in. Okie doke. Hey, so after a little while, we've test fitted the pans now on this side. I removed the jacks. I've screwed or put a couple of bolts in that side of the car to align the floor pans, the original floor pan, to the heater channels again. The rear is lined up with the holes back there. So what we need to do with this one now is to start fitting it. Obviously it needs to come over a little bit, and that shows underneath with the position of the holes against the heater channels, so they're out probably 10 mil or so. They need to go back in toward the tunnel. One of the issues I'm having is, or I've found, is that obviously we have a stop here where I need to either take this back slightly or cut a hole in the new floor pan, just remove this piece to allow this whole section to slide that way towards the heater, towards the main beam. So that's it. I need to do that, and then there's a little bit up in the top corner up in there that needs a little bit of work, so I might just chop that out, and then I might tack weld a piece of steel back on there, or I might look at taking a section out and shortening in just slightly just on that corner, so it fits a little bit better. But overall I think it's been pretty successful. I had to take a wheel off to get the floor pan in to slide in nicely, but in reality it's a little bit tight in a couple of places, so I've just got to work out what's going on with that top corner and fix that first to see where it sits. But overall I think it's been a pretty good day so far. Okay, so continuing with this fitting, so what I've noticed was that in the new pan this support is too long, so the pan butts up against here as in the photograph, and then hits the tunnel over this side. Now I know that the pan has got to come over a little bit because these holes don't line up either. They need to go that way, so the whole pan has got to come over. So the only way that I can do that is to either cut this off here or cut this section of the pan out, and I'm a little bit reluctant to do that. I also noticed when I was underneath it having a good look that this part was banging against the tunnel, so I've just put a little mark there where I think that it needs to be trimmed out, so I'll trim it out across here. I also might put a little bit of a relief cut in there, so if I do have to try and bend it in situ, I'll do that. I can always weld it up later. So that's where I'm at. I also may just take 5 mil off of this end. It doesn't seem like a fantastic fit around here. It sits up a little bit, and I don't know if I can pull it back into shape, but I don't think I will. So I might once again have to either put a little bit of a relief cut in there just so it'll mould itself a little bit better. But that's where I'm up to now. So the first fitting after I'd done a little bit of that work, and you can see that it's much better than it was. It's still not perfect. We've got a bit of a foul on here now, so I'm going to have to chase a little bit of that out. What I'll probably do is put some relief cuts in there and bend it out, so I've still got something to weld on. But apart from that, if we just go up underneath, I'll show you what I did underneath there. I cut that little piece off. So now, maybe cut a bit much off, but that's what it is now. And I took the liberty of just giving it just a quick tidy up while I had it exposed. So that was done, and that corner was cut out. Grab the light. I want to see what that's like in there now. Okay, so that's not fouling up there anymore. So it literally only is in here. Just there. So a couple of little or a little relief cut there and one up there, and then I shall just fold it out a little bit. And I might just take a little bit out of that corner as well. So I might just whip that little corner piece out. A little relief cut there, bend that out, and we'll see what that's like. So I've just pulled the pan back and I'm just marked out what I need to do. There was a foul just in this corner, so I'm just going to cut that out and then use that line just with a little relief. I'm also going to a little relief cut back down here. Bear in mind it's got to go over about 10 mil, so I'm going to bend it back or cut down to about there, so I've got enough so that I can bend it back. Full disclaimer, at the front there is a small clash on this part here, but what I'm going to do is fix that once I can get access to, or better access to it, when the body's off. So this is going to be tacked in place. I'm going to drill a series of holes to mimic the spot welding, and then when that's done, why isn't that focusing? Very exciting. There you go. Then I'll attack that bit, but if I can just get a few spot welds down the tube here, then that should be okay, and I'll probably put one on that support there so it can't shift and move around once it's in place. But that's my next bit, just to cut those little bits out, and we'll see what goes on from there. Okay, pretty much the final thing now. So I did chop that little corner out and fold it back, as you can see, and we're looking pretty good now. Just got to knock that back onto there, and I've got a nice line to weld down. Apart from that, it's looking pretty good. There's a slight ripple in it because it's pinching that end, and the reason for that is that underneath here, if we notice, this is banging against here, so I can't move the pan anymore towards the rear of the car unless I cut that off, of course. Now that was my initial plan. The problem is with that idea is that the holes are about half a hole off, and I was speaking to a friend of mine, he said, yeah, that's pretty standard, so I might be able to pick that up with the heater channels and leave the pan in place now, because if I shift the pan to the rear of the car anymore, then these fellas won't line up anymore. And this is pretty much the exact same spot as the old pan, so the holes in the pan are slightly off. But there we go. Apart from that, if I did choose to get that support and cut that off and re-weld that and shifted this back to match the holes in the heater channel, then that would be an idea, and I could just extend those holes out. I might do. I'll have a bit of a think about it anyway. Apart from that, great fitting. Length is pretty much brilliant. If it wasn't for that being slightly underside off that brace, off that support, this would be a great fit. Okay, so I took a piece off of that bracket. I shortened it so it's now a little bit closer to the back of the car. So basically I took it up to the support underneath, the supporting plate underneath, took it right back to that, and then cut it off, and then just cut the radius off, and then re-welded it back on again. So hopefully that will give me a little bit more room underneath all for the holes. Okay, so the final fit up. So this is after I've done that bracket. See, it's all pretty neat and tidy down the sides. The front end is good, like I said. When I get to it, I'll fix that front end because it just needs to be doctored a little bit. But underneath, now we can see, although these holes are slightly off, I'm not too fussed about that because the main holes underneath I've got some great alignment to them. I don't know if you can see. So there we go. So what I'll do is I'll screw this up now. Well, I'll take the pan off and do the little small holes for the spot welding, and then we'll fit it, and then I'll bolt it down this side and get on with the other.